What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Wave. Did you guys miss me? 'Cause I missed you guys, man. It was a little bit. I went on a little bit of a vacation, but we're back, and NBA Finals is right around the corner. I hope you're just as excited as I am, man, because it's just gonna be a great time of year. And this time we have two teams that haven't been to the finals in who knows how long. I believe the Pacers, the last time they went was when Reggie Miller was playing, and I don't think the last time the Thunder went was in 2012 against the Heat, I believe. Fact check me, please. But it's going to be an interesting series. We have the number one seed out west, the favorite all year to push it to the NBA Finals out of the Western Conference, the most dominant team that was there, top to bottom, wire to wire, versus the, in my opinion, slept on underdog Pacers that kind of stormed their way through the Eastern Conference and is making a lot of noise. And I think it's a good time that we can have a good conversation about this because it's this is going to be an interesting one. So we have two offensive, two offensively gifted teams. You know, the Pacers, they run five guys. We've seen that all series, all playoffs long. Against Cleveland, against Milwaukee, against New York. They ran five guys. There was 3 to 5 guys every night that had at least double digits. The bench came to score. And you know the story with the Indiana Pacers. They were offensively, they were a nightmare for every team they played. They had a matchup for everybody that they went against, and it was just a difficult game for a lot of their matchups. Honestly, like they could have went small and had Siakam running the point of attack, or Siakam could have not Siakam Halliburton could play bigger, or like be a facilitator, kind of like work, catch and shoot a little bit, run off the ball. They have just different lineups and different situational, go-tos that I think really helped in their favor this whole playoff run. Some people are gonna, chalk it up to injury. I really only see the only argument for that would be the Cleveland series, in my opinion. And even that, maybe yes and no. Like some of the starters did play, but that team did battle injuries, yes. But I'm not gonna chalk it up to that. In all honesty, I think that team was still deep enough in terms of roster, especially getting DeAndre Hunter off the bench by the trade deadline that year. So you knew Cleveland was going to be aggressive in terms of trying to go to the finals. And if the injury bug hit them at the wrong time, Indiana, it didn't put them out of winning the series, and Indiana, they capitalized. Yeah, and just in terms of, let's compare their playoff route so far. Oklahoma City, besides the game 7 that they were pushed to against one of the former champs in Denver Nuggets, they've it's been pretty dominant. They swept the Memphis Grizzlies in the semis or in the quarterfinals. And they went to 7 against the Nuggets, who it was showing that they were serious contenders to go to the NBA Finals. Like they were built ready for that year, and a few misses, a few fouls, a few shots, and they could be in the finals right now. And they beat the Timberwolves in 5. Again, I'll continue to say that the Timberwolves were just they were a little outclassed. The playoffs, I told you, left a lot to be desired. They beat the Lakers in dominant fashion, and then they beat the Warriors after Curry got hurt, and they just met a team that was kind of well suited for their lineups, and we all saw how that went. And yeah, Oklahoma City, they kind of dominated. If my record's not wrong, they would have won 12 games and they lost 0-3-1. So they were 12-4 in their run to the finals, averaging a lot, 1 point something lost per series. So they're looking pretty strong. Out east, let's look at the Pacers series. If I'm not wrong, I could double check, but they made light work of the Milwaukee Bucks. They had miracle comebacks in all the series that they had. They had the overtime thriller against the Bucks where they completely melted down and Gary Trent Jr. turned the ball over. They had that miracle comeback against the Cavs when they kind of shot themselves out of the game and kind of put a stamp on the Eastern Conference, saying that they were a test and they were a force to be reckoned with. They knocked off the number one seed in the conference. I thought that would be something to raise an eyebrow to. And against the Knicks, they had that miracle comeback against in Game One where Naismith, pardon however it's pronounced. I'm sorry, but he had that miracle fourth quarter, which put Milwaukee forced it to overtime, and they were able to sneak out a win in Reggie Miller esque, and it was a sting to the New York Knicks, and that game was definitely it'll go down as an infamous game for New York fans. And yeah, Indiana was just on. They're on this kind of not Cinderella because this team is well built. You don't become a top four team in a conference without being well suited. They have a good coach in Rick Carlisle. Their roster. Those guys look like they like to play together, and it looks exciting in Indiana right now. It's a basketball state. Basketball is like that's their go-to game. History is like history of basketball is like it's rooted in Indiana. So it's really awesome to see Indiana going to the finals. And yeah, this is gonna be an interesting series, man. This is gonna be interesting. Um, to formally go on record with my prediction, I think Oklahoma City is gonna take this series, and I think they're gonna take it in 6 games. Unlike a lot of the Vegas, a lot of my colleagues in this basketball forum community that we have, um, the odds makers, all these guys, I think they're again sleeping on Indiana, and I don't think that Oklahoma City is going to lose. I just don't think that Indiana is going to get pummeled like a lot of people are thinking, and I think Indiana can push. I think 6, and I think they could even force a 7, just because Indiana is just like they don't see those guys enough, So it's like it's not like Denver or like Memphis for Oklahoma City, or like the Cavs or the Bucks for the Pacers, where you see them like 4 times a year, and then you go to playoffs, you have to see them 4 to 7 more times. Like these are opponents who play twice in the year. You kind of like just feel them out. You just look at them from afar, but we'll see what kind of lineups and stuff we have. Again, Oklahoma City, what pros do they have? They have a young core that's at the beginning of a rebuild. They have energy. They have life. They have a young head coach, and they have a fan base that's really dedicated and behind that team. So that's what Oklahoma City has in their favor. The same could be said for Indiana. They have a fan base that's behind them. I like their new thing, the Sirs. I think it's cool because it's like the Durs in football and the Sirs in basketball is a cool that shows that the fan base has an identity and that they support their team. Indiana again, I think they're gonna like every team they face, they're gonna give them trouble. Defensively, we'll see if Oklahoma City could keep up that straight jacket level defense that they've been putting on this playoffs, and we'll see if Indiana could get some, get their firepower going. My X factors are again going to be the same. I think Chet Holmgren, it's going to see what he's going to do. I think Miles Turner might have to make an appearance this series because it's going to be a bigger team, so they might need some bigger lineups out there. Of course, Pascal Siakam, he just won the Eastern Conference Player of the Year, most valuable player. In my opinion, I think that it was. There's no way that you can argue that he shouldn't have got it. You can make the argument that Halliburton could have got it because he was playing out of his mind as well. But Pascal Siakam, he had 3 out of those 6 games. He dropped like 30. One of them was almost a 40 bomb. Without Pascal Siakam, they're not pushing on to that series. And again, Halliburton did have that pretty subpar game where he. He was just like pretty mediocre. I believe it was Game 5, the last game the Knicks played in the Garden. So, so Pascal Siakam again going to be that X factor. I think Miles Turner will be another huge factor. He's like the longest tenured pacer on that team. He's the engine. He's the heart. He's that guy, and I see him trying to elevating his game for one good finals run. And he's going to battle against Chet Holmgren, and I think he might step up and shock the world that he might show the world that what he's made of. And some other guys. I think Nembhard might have to be a factor as well because he was really quiet in that New York Knicks series, and it was because Josh Hart is kind of like he kind of cancels him out. He's a little bigger. He's more agile on the defensive end, and he kind of like neutralized him. But they have Caruso, but let's see if Nemhard could get into his bag. We saw Neemsmith was able to still get his shot off, but Nemhard is definitely going to be needed because that team is guard heavy and forward heavy, and he's going to have to play some D, and it's gonna be an interesting series. I think this series has the potential to even go to 7, but I'm going to stick with my prediction and say that it's going to go to 6. Oklahoma City, I see them taking the series 6 or 7 games. It doesn't matter how the scenario plays out. I think that they're just more built to for this, and it's going to be exciting, man. You know, yeah, this has been a crazy postseason. I've enjoyed covering it since back in April, and now we're in early June, and we have a lot more to come on the show. And just be on the lookout for some off season stuff, some rebuilding projects I've been working on. But like I said, June is going to be lit. Whether it's the finals or some rebuilding stuff we got going on, or just other projects going on. The Wave, I'm glad that you guys stopped in and joined by. Like I said, I missed you guys, and I'm back. And it's I'm back, and let's cook up. Let's watch the finals, and let's talk basketball, and let's grow as a community. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of The Wave. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, ciao. I'll see you later.